Welcome to the Reconnection Club podcast, the show that helps parents heal troubled relationships with their adult sons and daughters. I'm your host, psychotherapist Tina Gilbertson. Each week, I'll offer you compassion, clarity, and personal development tips designed to help you reconnect, not only with your child, but with yourself. Now let's get started. Sibling rivalry is a broad topic that I can't even hope to address thoroughly in a 10-minute podcast episode. But there are two aspects to sibling rivalry that are of special importance to parents of estranged adult children. So I'll say a few words about those. The first is when your estranged adult child accuses you of playing favorites during their childhood, thereby promoting sibling rivalry. And the second is when you have adult children who are estranged from each other and it's causing pain to you and to them. I'll share some thoughts with you about those two situations, but if you can get everyone into family therapy together, that's going to be the most effective way to get a handle on sibling rivalry and figure out how to move forward as a family. When you're accused by one of your children of favoring a sibling, or all their siblings, your very first impulse might be to beg to differ. You can think of dozens of times when you put this child first, but according to her, she always got the short end of the stick. Now, just as a quick aside here, if your child did receive less attention because a sibling had special needs or certain challenges, actually, you're less likely to hear about it. I think the more obvious it is that the sibling required more time and attention, the less likely you are to get complaints. But if you do, you can simply acknowledge the fact that the sibling got more attention and listen and express remorse for your other child's experience. And I would like to offer you an acknowledgement that if you had a child with extraordinary needs, you had a harder path as a parent than you probably planned for, and you must never doubt that you did the very best you could in the circumstances with the resources you had at the time. Okay, that was a footnote. Let's assume that an accusation of favoritism has caught you off guard. If you're like most parents accused of favoritism, you can very quickly find yourself in a struggle of he said, you said, with your child convinced that he was far less favored than a sibling or siblings, and you equally certain that on the whole, you gave as much to one as the other. For every example your child offers of receiving less than a sibling did from you, you can think of a counterexample where he received not only the same, but more. This is a dead end. Especially if your child is currently estranged, then arguing about her perception of her childhood will not soothe her, nor will it heal the estrangement. Your child's accusations may seem like they're motivated by judgment or criticism of your parenting skills. And if your child is acting judgmental and critical, you can be forgiven for assuming that you're being judged and criticized. And whenever that happens, well, we naturally tend to defend ourselves. But that's how parents end up wasting time engaging in arguments about what was true in the home, which will never go anywhere, because you believe you and your child believes herself. The thing to understand is that underneath your adult child's reprimands about favoritism, there's usually a genuine emotional pain. A pain that needs your compassionate attention and caring in order to heal. And just because your child sustained an emotional injury on your watch doesn't make you an incompetent parent or a bad person. All parents, remember, make mistakes. It's unavoidable. All you can do once they're adults is to avoid the mistake of refusing to acknowledge any pain they express today. Never allow yourself to get pulled into a debate about who got what and who didn't get as much, either back then or even today. Just hear accusations of favoritism as bids for emotional visibility and connection. If you think of it like that, then as soon as you hear any sort of favoritism complaint, you'll know that what's needed is your kind and caring attention in the here and now. What does your adult child need from you today? That is at the crux of the complaint. You don't have to go back and fix the past. You just need to try to tolerate your child's pain without disagreeing with his or her experience. Be curious and remember to validate your child's emotions. Now let's talk about sibling rivalry in adulthood. I'm not going to be able to cover every base today because there are just so many permutations when it comes to who's talking to whom. But let me offer some suggestions if you as a parent want to facilitate reconciliation between two adult children. And please don't take this as a substitute for family therapy if you can get the players together. The first thing is, trying to persuade two adult children to reconnect doesn't usually work. If you've tried persuasion, you already know that. If there's a specific disagreement between them, you already know that it's important for you to avoid taking sides. But that doesn't mean you have to zip your lips. You can offer validation separately to both for any pain they've experienced in their relationship. Validating your daughter's pain in her relationship with your son is different from agreeing with her that he is a worthless human being. You can validate your son's frustration with his sister without agreeing with him that she's unreasonable. Validating both sides in a conflict isn't an easy feat. Even marriage and family therapists are challenged by this, and it's their job to make sure that each person feels heard and understood and not thrown under the bus. So if it's hard to do as a trained professional, you know it's got to be a hard thing to do, period. However, if you want to preserve your own relationships while supporting both of your adult children, then validation is something you'll want to learn more about. If you also want to facilitate their reconnection with each other, you can keep an eye out for ways to convey goodwill between them. You don't want to say things that aren't true, like, so-and-so told me she wants to make up with you, but you can share any positives with at least one foot in the truth. Maybe something like, it seems to me your sister has always looked up to you and she probably cares a lot about what you think. But do stop short of making suggestions, like why don't you send her a text, or I bet he'd appreciate an invitation to your party, because making suggestions can be seen as meddling. But it's different when you're simply stating a nice fact. You know, your brother told me he admires you. And of course, that's assuming that you're not sharing something that was explicitly said in confidence. When the right moment arises, reminding your children that they are loved, respected, or appreciated by each other could help set the tone for them to think about reaching out to each other in peace. It is painful when your adult children aren't getting along, but it is their relationship to damage and to repair. Spread goodwill, avoid conveying anything negative that's not necessary, and allow them to manage the rest. The less work you do to bring them back together, the more they have to take back the responsibility of managing their relationship. As the parent of an estranged adult child, you can set an example of openness and humility in the face of negative feedback, and that could also help. So whether an adult child is accusing you of playing favorites, or you're watching your adult children quarrel with each other, let empathy, validation, and goodwill be your plan. Until next time, remember that you are a loving, lovable, and still growing human being. So please take good care of yourself. Bye for now. If you've enjoyed this episode of the Reconnection Club podcast, I invite you to check out reconnectionclub.com. The Reconnection Club is for parents at any stage of estrangement from their adult, child, or children. So whether you've just realized there's trouble between you, you've been living with estrangement for years, or you're newly reconciled but still walking on eggshells, the Reconnection Club is your essential resource for information, support, and continued personal growth. With our courses and workshops, expert interviews, monthly Q&A calls, and a friendly, active community, the Reconnection Club is a wonderful place to be for anyone suffering the pain of estrangement from an adult, child, or children. So check it out at reconnectionclub.com.